Once the desire arises, we become a slave to them. It's just that we say, oh, these are my desires. How are these your desires when you never desired them? Do we desire our desires? No, they just come. And where do they come from? They come from influences, they come from conditioning, and they arise from the bodily configuration. And once they arise, we act as if we own them. We say, oh, this is my desire. And then we run after those desires. And 1,000 others are running after the same desires. And if we succeed in the competition, we say we are special. No, we are not. Can you question desire itself? And when you question desire itself, then you learn the right desire. And that's where joy is. That's where the highest pleasure is.
Hello Acharya ji. While we explore a certain field which is relatively foreign to us, how should we exactly gauge in the factors, as in the depth to which we should reach, and after that judge whether the thing is meant for us?
No, before you judge that field, you have to judge yourself. Gauging yourself is more important. When you go to a doctor, does he diagnose the medicines or the patient? Please. The patient. The patient has to be diagnosed and then a medicine can be prescribed. You can't go medicine shopping without knowing what your disease is. Or can you? So how can then you go about selecting a field for yourself if you do not know what is it within you? At least these two should be parallel. If not sequential, if it's not possible that you first look at yourself and then look at the field, at least let these two things be parallel. Because it's a question of your entire life. You'll spend most of your life working, won't you? Do you want to be working in some field where concentration is a daily hassle? Where you're routinely struggling. Oh, how do I put myself into this file? Or how do I apply myself to this piece of code? I just don't have my heart in it. Do you want yourself in this situation? Do you? So first see how things are within. You'll get some idea and then experiment. Experiment with the intention to know, not to obfuscate. And then try something else. Not that you will ever get a perfect solution, but at least you will be able to discard the obvious imperfections. And that itself is a big blessing. Asking for that one right, perfect solution, absolutely correct solution, is too much. Maybe it does not exist. But at least you will be saved from falling into something absolutely imperfect for you. Is that not a relief? So the process has to be of negation. In Vedanta it is called as neti. Discard. Do not ask for what is absolutely correct. Do not ask for the final truth. Ask for what is obviously incorrect and get rid of it. And that's the way you keep moving in life, by rejecting, discarding, negating.
Up to what depth should we know before discarding?
You're asking for the cringe threshold? Can't say, it's quite subjective. It depends on your tolerance level. Mine is quite low. If I can't take a thing beyond a point, I come to know it's not for me. I think the tolerance level has to be low because life is short. If you keep experimenting with false things for years and years, saying that the experiment is still not conclusive, then you won't have time even for many experiments. So the cringe threshold has to be low. The moment a thing starts showing up as fake, you must know it is time to move on.
So, but let's say we have invested a lot of time and our resources in that particular idea, which is at the cringe moment, you said. So, should we leave it? Because we have gone too far in it now.
What do you say? Tell me.
I won't specify it, but let's say many people going through are right now here, let's say.
What? Relationship.
No, not relationship, but let's say time and money is invested in it a lot.
See, you have to take a call. When I was in class 8, we used to have The Merchant of Venice by Shakespeare. You two have had this? ICSC? ICSC? So, what's the name of the protagonist? Antonio. And the friend is Greciano, right? Bassanio, right. So, he says, when I used to lose an arrow when I was young as a kid, what would I do? He said that when I would fire an arrow as a kid and the arrow would get lost, to recover the arrow, I would fire another one in the same direction. And it used to happen that I could recover both of them. So he tries the same thing with Shylock the Jew. And he says, I have invested in one particular thing, property, instrument, whatever, and my investment has sunk. So to recoup that investment, I am investing even more in the same instrument. And what happens? We find the Jew coming after him for his flesh. That's what happens. That's a terrible advice in the investment circles. To invest in something just because you have lost a lot in the same thing. But the mind is tempted. The mind says, oh, but so much is at stake. So to take care of that, there is a concept in financial management called sunk cost. Take it as sunk cost that cannot be recovered, and if you put more into it, you will only lose more. Right? So clench your fist and accept that what is lost, no point investing more into it. What is lost is never going to be recovered. It's sunk cost. It's sunk cost. Time to move on. Getting it? It's a bad trap, no? Look at the logic. Because I have invested in the wrong place, so I'll keep investing in the wrong place. What kind of logic is this? What kind of logic is this? And people worsen their tragedies by subscribing to this logic. No? And also the inner humiliation. If I accept today that I have been investing in the wrong place, then I'll have to accept that I have been a fool all my life. Let's say I'm 40 years old. How do I accept that it's a life gone waste? That's why it's easier for young people like you. Mend your ways right now, else it might be too late. As you grow older, it becomes difficult to correct yourself. That's a practical thing. Ask a young man to accept his mistake, he probably can. Ask a 60-year-old, he'll be stiff. He can't bend. Therefore, he can't mend.